I'm going to show you another app called Webgility, which, as I mentioned earlier, it deserves a whole webinar, really, because Webgility is just really, really great. Um, let me log into it real quick, and let me just show you the pricing real quick. So just to give you a general idea. So if you're doing 0 to 1,000 orders per month, it's it's $200 per month, and that's only one e-commerce channel. When you actually start adding e-commerce channels, like I want to add eBay and I don't know what the additional per channel charge. It should be here somewhere. But it's basically every time you add a channel, it will be an additional cost. So if you end up having Amazon, Shopify, and eBay, for example, three of them, you probably end up paying somewhere between $300 to $400 a month for this software. So not something too crazy, but obviously paying a couple $100 a month, it's just something that's just never really great for people, right? But if it replaces an employee, a full-time employee, that should be additional. So here's a Webgility app that I did, and I connected it to two channels. I connected it to my eBay store. I actually recently sold a camera, so here's my eBay sale right there for $1,033.88, and then my Shopify store as well. So if I go into Shopify, and I'm gonna create an order real quick. So I'm gonna simulate an order that came from Shopify here. So I'll create a brand new order for QuickBooks Online Accountant, one user, and I'm gonna let's pick this client here, Helen. Actually, no, let me not pick a random customer because I don't want them to be getting random emails. So let's pick this random customer here, who's my test customer, Quincy Adams, and let's complete the order here. So this emulates a new order coming into Shopify. So when I go into my orders, here's the new order 1723 right here. Okay. So when I go into Webgility and I sync my Webgility app, all my orders from all my channels come into one place. Now, typically in the e-commerce world, they call this order management or an order management app. And the reason to not do direct sync from Shopify into QuickBooks and Amazon into QuickBooks and something else into QuickBooks is because you want to manage orders in one place. You probably also want to fulfill orders. So you want to sync this to your shipping app that's going to print those shipping labels and stuff like that, and have one place where all the orders come in. And then once the orders are all coming into one place, you can choose which ones are going to go into QuickBooks. So I can pick all of them and I can ignore them, delete them, or I can click to post to QuickBooks. You can also set up a Webgility to automatically post into QuickBooks so it doesn't ask you. But I like to control it before I post it into QuickBooks because sometimes there's a payment issue, a fulfillment issue, a change to the order or something like that. And I don't want it in QuickBooks until I'm ready to acknowledge that order to be complete. So I'm going to click post into QuickBooks. And what Webgility is going to do is it's going to take the consolidated set of orders and bring them into QuickBooks. Now, some of the things you can do in the settings is to have it point to different classes or locations based on what platform they came in. So in QuickBooks, you can actually see how they paid you. So I'm going to go back into QuickBooks here, click on the magnifying glass, and we're going to look at these three orders. So I'm going to open up the sales receipt. And this order was from eBay. Okay. The reason I know that is because of the code. That's an eBay code. And it went straight into categorized asset. I need to go back into my Webgility settings and tell it to send it to undeposited funds. Instead, here's the listing, the order. This is the actual product that I sold. Here's the dollar value. No item comes in because I haven't configured, I haven't done any mapping because there's a whole process that it comes to, which is item mapping. And here's the payment method, PayPal. So I probably want to go back into the settings and tell it to go straight into PayPal or go to undeposited funds so that I can set that up. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and click on save and close. And that's the eBay sale. And then I'm going to look at my Shopify sale. that I just created, and here's my Shopify sale. Notice that this one also syncs based on SKU. So that whole concept of SKU number, SKU number in Shopify is going to be used to connect into QuickBooks. Even the payment method got synced in here. So the only thing I would have to change in the configuration is where this is going to be deposited to. So I'll go back to Webgility and show you those settings. Actually, they're not really that complicated. And you go into account settings. Okay. And then here's where you do all your syncing. So this is where you say, look, my sales need to come in into undeposited funds. I don't know. Okay, let me refresh the data to make sure the chart of accounts gets refreshed. So here I can say all my sales should come in into undeposited funds, and it should come in as an invoice and not a sales receipt. Or I can say same settings for all channels. No. So I want to say for Shopify, I want it as a sales receipt. Maybe for eBay, I want it as an invoice, right? Depending on the context, right? It all really depends on the context. And then we can even have different transaction types inside of Shopify. So depending on how they paid me, right? So if they pay me with the "will pay you later," if they pay me with a PayPal, if they pay me with a credit card or whatever, I can also have each of the different payment types or order status syncing differently. So you don't have any of these things with a Bold app. I assume other syncing apps would have something like this, but Webgility just gives you a lot of control of how you want that information to come in. And the last thing I'll cover on Webgility, it's on inventory. So so in QuickBooks, you can actually have, let's do, not this one. Where's my items here? Items. So let's do QuickBooks. So right here, this is all my item list in QuickBooks. And then here is my item list in my shopping cart. So so whether Shopify or eBay. So I can go in and sync any of these with the actual item in QuickBooks. I can go here, it says map, and I can choose my QuickBooks item name that pertains to this one. So this one should pertain to, actually it hasn't been created yet. So if I can actually go into QuickBooks and create it, or I can select here, create. And the reason why it hasn't been created is because I haven't sold it yet. So on the fly, I can create this SKU. So I can take my master SKU list from Shopify or eBay and create the non-inventory items in QuickBooks, which then I can convert to something else after the fact. So this gives you just a lot of control. And here's all the ones that have been matched. So you can actually click on any of these, click on map, and you can see, okay, so in what is this? This is Shopify. In QuickBooks, it's called QB Mac 01, and in Shopify, it'll be called QB Mac 01, I think 20, that one. So this is where I do all my syncing. And then what's really cool is whatever product description I have in Shopify, the description will come into QuickBooks Online as well. So it's really just a lot of potential moving parts. This is very difficult to teach in a vacuum. So you actually have to have the real accounting and the real Shopify and Amazon store set up to then really understand how all these moving parts work. But hopefully this did it some service. It gives you a good general idea how these systems work.